What's going on, folks? Wes Pruitt, 4 Star Sports Media. You are looking live at three gentlemen that work their asses off and are really good at what they do. On the bottom there, you got Jason Patterson joining us from Hoggville. Then you got Blake Hogue coming over from the Hogs Happy Hour, and then you got Jay Sturd, aka Jonathan Sturdivant, up there to the right, and he is coming in from Inside the Line, little high school prep show that talks all sports. Actually, John does an amazing job with high school sports. I am Wes Pruitt. Hope everyone is doing well. It's Saturday night. It's been another wild night of college football. We're going to go over some dogs down in Atlanta. We're going to go over some anchors being laid in Nashville today. Anchor down for sure. Do a little over under. Going to talk about a Arkansas offense that I think is still scoring right now, guys. I think Taylor Green is still just running backwards and scoring touchdowns. Then we're going to get the overreaction of the weekend. All that and more tonight on a little late night snack sports buffet. Appreciate everybody tuning in. All right, let's get it kicked off. So going to go around the room here. I'll start with John. John, what is something that this week really caught your eye or really stood out to you that changed from week 0 to week 1?
Well, it was just basically like I told y'all a few minutes ago before we came on, it was just the 1AA schools not really competing that well against the D1 schools like the powerhouses like they used to be. Like you saw our Murray State team lose by 51-0. You saw Arkansas Pine Bluff is pretty bad, but you saw them lose 70-0. But you also saw, like right now, Furman is down 73-0 to Ole Miss. So the teams that we are not, or that we are familiar with, that were into like FCS playoffs year in year out, they're not scoring no points at all lately. The last couple games that we've been watching off and on today as well. That's when I thought when SES schools would compete better than they did today, to be honest with you. That's one reason I'm kind of surprised by Chattanooga. Even you call it a scrimmage game, West, but Chattanooga used to be up there. So I'm just shocked by the scores by these FCS schools versus these D1 schools going into week 2 and week 1 again.
Jason, what about you, man?
Are you guys able to hear me okay? I didn't do a mic check before.
Oh yeah, dude, you're loud and clear.
All right, cool. One of the things that I've started to notice, well, for sure in week 1, is that the talent gap in, like what John said with the FCS schools, is a little more prevalent than, say, some of the years that we've seen in the past. I don't know exactly how that's going to affect with NIL. I mean, you heard Nick Saban talk about it this morning. Shit, if you don't pay the right players, it's going to kill you in the end. So I think that the SEC in total really, I guess, intentionally had scheduled some cupcakes because they know what's coming on down the line here in the next week or two. Next week you've got Kentucky, South Carolina. I'm sure we'll probably go over that one here before too long. But that's going to be the very first SEC matchup of the season. And I think a couple of these teams are trying to pad the stats a little bit to make sure that they get to 6-6. Or for that matter, they might even be thinking they have maybe a genie in a bottle this year and trying to snag one of those top 12 spots. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Great point there, Jason. All right, Blake, what about you, man?
For me, it's the how bad the ACC might be. Last week on the show, I talked about kind of the strength, maybe the ACC maybe being wide open, but after watching Clemson get beat and Virginia Tech, and just I think the ACC is going to be another very bad conference this year. So, and then also the dominance of the SEC. I think we're seeing that again this year. So maybe they'll get 3-4 teams into the playoffs. I don't know, but I'm just
let me see it real quick.
yeah, John and Jason kind of echo my thoughts on, those lower level schools are really not very competitive. In the years past, there will be an upset or two, but so far, not this year.
Might see one in a little bit. They only got
Yeah.
about 3, Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, Kentucky is leading Southern Miss 7-0. Start of the second quarter. Tate Rodemaker, former Florida State Seminole, is 6 for 8, 95 yards. Southern Miss has three people have rushed the ball 5 times for 4 yards. I'll say that again. That is an average of 0.8, long of 6. Tate Rodemaker has -7. Right now, Southern Miss does have more total yards, 99-96 over the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky has 37 yards through the air and 59 through the air. Vandegrift for Kentucky is 5 of 7 for 37 yards. Just to give you guys a little score update there.
Because I didn't think they were going to get that game in. I've been following Matt Jones on Twitter. They actually shut the beer stands down off at one point because they weren't sure if they were going to have the game or not. And so it really pissed the Commonwealth off because not only were they not going to get football, they may not get booze either, which, I mean, at that point, you're kind of held hostage. But sorry, Wes, to jump in there like that, but I felt that was a very, very, very sticking point that needed to be brought up.
I mean, if anything, they would have pushed the game back to tomorrow, you would think, anyway, right?
Or even Monday, for that matter. It depends on – I'm sure that depends on a couple of things. But, I mean, you've got LSU and USC tomorrow night. You've got FSU playing on Monday night. So, I mean, it's just like there's options.
I mean, the game is already on SEC Network, so I can see the game being played tomorrow, worst-case scenario. Yeah. But you brought up a good point. Weather delays have been impacting – a lot of games. Middle Tennessee and Tennessee Tech just kicked off about 30 minutes ago as well. So this whole summer thunderstorms affecting not only high school yesterday here, but all over college football today. Notre Dame is 1 of 9 on third downs, by the way, and it's 13 all 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, also partial score, Hawaii 13. But as we just to give the other half of that's an inside joke. But just to give you the other half of that is UCLA also 13. So that's a real shootout down in Hawaii. Right now, Hawaii has 243 yards total, 178 through the air and 65 on the ground. They've thrown 35 passes, 178 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. So when you look at some offenses that were just literally on fire. I think you got to start with University of Arkansas right here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and perfect for the Hogs. I mean, for anybody that watched wrestling back in the day, there's a guy named Sean Spears. He would say, I give it a 10. Well, that's what they did. They got 10 straight touchdowns. 687 total yards, not quite 700. I've heard other people say 700. It's not. So it's 687. Yep. Let's be accurate with our facts here. 408 yards through the air, 279 on the ground for Arkansas. UAPB had 7 yards, had 23 rushes for 7 yards. That's a average of 0.3, by the way, for all you mathematicians out there. 7 yards on the ground, 123 through the air. Jason, when you look at this game, and you were there, what was more impressive to you? The quarterback room or the running back room for the offense?
I've got 2 on this, and the first one is the players. I would say probably the quarterback room. The reason why I say that is because Malachi didn't really drop off when he came in for Talon. He kind of picked the offense right back up and got right to work. And then whenever it was time for Malachi to take a seat, KJ Jackson came in, operated the offense just the same way, about damn near as what Talon did as far as running the run option. And also he was accurate. There were a couple of drops, I do believe, with Malachi. But I don't think it was more of accuracy. I think it was more of hands at that point. But I did feel like the running back room They're solid at 2, maybe 3. I was surprised though that Rashad Dubinion didn't get as much run as he did. I fully anticipated to see Braylon Russell. Braylon did great. First collegiate game as a Razorback in his home stadium. Really, I mean, Benton's in their backyard. I mean, that's got to be a hell of a thrill for a kid to go in there with Arkansas pads on and score a touchdown in his first collegiate game. And so I was really kind of surprised to not see R-Dub get as much run as he did in the second half, more or less even the first half. He didn't get a touch at all. And I do want to say, I want to give a big shout out to the media folks that did attend the game on Thursday night. Felt like this might be an unpopular opinion for some, but I felt like that we were covering the game in a third world stadium. We lost air
That was
conditioning.
perfectly fine the next night for the Salt Bowl, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that the damnedest thing in the world? It's like,
Wow.
screw the Arkansas media, because we lost air conditioning an hour before the game. We lost water pressure right before the game started, so they capped the toilets off in the third level of the press deck. So we had no bathrooms and no running water upstairs. On top of that, by halftime, they had already ran out of all of the sodas. And whenever me and another media member went up to go get a drink, the lady's like, "Well, I don't know what to tell you. The elevators are closed, and the only thing we have left are these bottled waters," which, by the way, there was only half a case left. And this individual kind of looks at me and said, "You got to be kidding me. This is awful," and just walks off. And I'm like, "Hey, give me 3 waters."
You saw a game last ring a bell?
And that's the
Dude,
thing.
don't even bring that game up, John. That is the hottest. Well, I take that back. That game at Louisiana Monroe in 2019 is the hottest I've ever been in my entire life. It was hotter than fish grease down there, dude. I'm telling you. Jason, to your point about Malachi, he only missed on 2 passes, 8 for 10 passing, 80%, 120 yards on the night.
Yeah.
He missed to Lucas in his 3rd pass, and then he missed to Isaac Tesla in his 7th. Other than that, I mean, he had one of the longest passes of the day, and that was 25 yards, his second pass to Brown, which was first down.
He had one just almost as long to Isaac as well, because that was right down the middle. They made the
Actually, it was longer by 3 yards. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good. I thought that the receivers did well. It's amazing what happens whenever you have a change in the offense. Because I want to throw this out there really quick. Do you guys know who one of the special team and offensive analysts are for Florida?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think okay. You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Dan Enos.
Yeah.
So that's Billy Napier, he's out there finding the Chad Morrises of the world right now. So
I knew today looked familiar.
it's amazing whenever you have a great play caller and a great position coach to be able to take the same freaking pieces that you had last year and send them on their way, and they're productive on the field, and you scored 70 flipping points. It's like, okay, he fixed it. Possibly. We don't know yet. I'm still going to say we need to give him 3 weeks at least. The Stillwater game might be a wash. Don't know yet. They did pretty well against SDSU. I watched that game today.
Dominated.
But the UAB game might be more of a barometer than the UAPB game, just for the fact that I think they're stepping up with the AAC.
Yeah. Blake, quick question for you, man. How refreshing is it to see 53 yards from Tesla, long of 28, 4 targets, 16 yak yards as well? But you get that. But then, when's the last time you saw an Arkansas receiving corps with 408 yards?
I mean, it's been It's been a long time, even during the Chad Morris years. It was pretty sad. So, but Tesla, I don't know if you saw, had that nice one-handed catch. I think from I guess it was from Singleton. It's been a while since that game happened, um, but it was nice to see. But also Armstrong didn't play, one of our top receivers. So hopefully he gets to play this coming up week. Will be a huge help. In the first quarter, that first pass Green threw was almost picked off. That was a little scary, but I think he kind of settled in the second quarter. And also, Jason was there, I wasn't, but about the wind. Apparently, the wind was at Taylor Green's back, and passes were sailing on him. So when they switched around, it got better for him.
The wind wasn't actually as bad during the game as I think some were leading on to believe. Yeah. But it was after the game, it was ridiculous. All the flags on the top of the stadium were pegged sideways. There was a pretty decent front that came through. But it was not that bad during the game. I'm not going to say that it should be made as a point of saying, hey, this is why. I think that they just didn't want to say he had first game jitters, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And another thing, it was nice to see. I know UAPB coaches probably didn't like it, but nice to see we did not take knees at the end. We tried to run our offense.
That was nice. It was refreshing. And I'm going to say that I've said this before, actually quite a lot in the past, that I was hoping to see an Arkansas offensive coordinator come in here and run the offense like Steve Spurrier used to. It's not my job to let your defense stop me. It is your job for your defense to stop me. And if you can't stop me, that's not my fault. And that's what we saw for Thursday night.
Yeah. Even with the third team. I mean, he had the third team in there. I mean, it's not, those guys need to go 100% too to get some plays on film and whatnot.
And I think that Sam saw some things there that he liked. I mean, you had the third teamer scoring 14 points in the fourth quarter. Second teamer scoring 7 points in the second and third quarter. Didn't see a lick of. Well, you saw a couple of skill position players that went throughout the second half to maybe, I think, get them some reps. Because, I mean, you saw Tesla. You saw some more Braylon Russell. Did finally see some R-Dub. But, I think it was really nice to see the entire depth chart produce, which I can honestly say, and I think y'all can say, that we haven't seen that in a few years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. So, John, when you look at this offense, man, I mean, I'm just looking at some numbers here. So, obviously, 100% drive success. They scored on every daggone one of them. Average time of possession was 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Average yards gained was 67 yards. Average number of plays per drive was 7. You had one 5+ minute drive. That was the 10-minute, 17-second drive, 12-play, 86-yard drive. They would score with 8 minutes and 14 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. But John, you had two 10+ play drives and 4 70+ yard drives for the offense. But then you look at it on third down. You know how I am about third down. That's one of the first things I look at. Right. On the average yard for them, only 5.9. So when you look at this Arkansas offense, I mean, I understand it's UAPB. I get that. That's perfect. I mean, but then you go look at it. I mean, obviously they didn't give up any points, so the defense played well too. But John, when you look at this offense and these drives, I mean, you can see now that it wasn't just a quick strike, boom, strike down the sidelines, and they scored. I mean, you had a few that were 3 and 5 and all that, but 6, 7, 10, 12 plays, 8 plays for the very first drive of the game. These are sustained offensive drives, which is something that Fayetteville, Arkansas hasn't seen in quite some time.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Didn't somebody predict 400 yards passing and 200 yards rushing? This guy right here. But, I was close a little bit. I was a little bit off.
Take that lab.
You're off, John? I would have never guessed you're off on that one. Go ahead.
But no, man, I was like, to be honest with you, these 12 and 8 play drives they're going to learn. It's a good way to start the season just because you don't know how other games are going to go by time of possession. Like, to me, to have a chance against Oklahoma State And then these SEC schools going to have the time possession, and this is a good way to start the year by learning from that, from those long drives. In my honest opinion regarding that, I think that's a good start. To be honest with you, regarding long drives, because you're practicing it for the conference play and for Oklahoma State this week coming up.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about a team here in a minute that was not balanced and their coach didn't care. But Arkansas was balanced, man. 33 rushes, 37 passes. I mean, UAPB was literally symmetrical, 23 and 23 for their offense. But I mean, that's balance. I mean, balance is more than winning. Just to take a quote from the great Prime. I mean, overall, just complete domination for Arkansas. They got Stillwater. They head over to Stillwater, not a far drive. Little hike over from Fayetteville over to Oklahoma, and what I've been told is a beautiful facility there on campus there. But big time game, and I mean, we'll get into that here shortly. But let's move on to a sinker. If you're looking at it from the Hokie standpoint, an absolute shocker if you look at it from national standpoint, for that matter. But Virginia Tech would drop their 20th game now when trailing by 10 or more, 20th straight game. And Vanderbilt would get a win 34-27 in overtime. I mean, I got to start at the quarterback, Pavia. This kid is fun to watch. Now, I mean, obviously you got Jerry Kill, all these guys come over from New Mexico. But Jason, let's start there, man. Pavia. That man was leading passer, leading rusher, 26 attempts for 104 yards, longer 27. He's going to give some SEC defense fits for Vandy.
I was wondering if Clark Lee was going to kind of get the wheels out of the mud a little bit. The defense is what kind of impressed me the first half. They limited Virginia Tech to 3-and-outs. They didn't allow them any sustained drives the first 2 quarters of that game. And what I was kind of taken by the fact was that they were able to, Vanderbilt was able to create their own momentum in a way. And you haven't seen that from a Vanderbilt team in a hell of a long time. But they were able to create their own momentum. They were able to get a solid lead into halftime. I tweeted out, I was wondering when Virginia Tech was going to start to weather that storm and make some changes and come back and boat race Vanderbilt. I mean, I had Virginia Tech not only covering but winning outright on this game as well. And it just didn't happen. I know Virginia Tech made a solid comeback in the third quarter, but unfortunately, it just didn't pan out, and Clark Lee got his first victory of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, to your point, Jason, in the second quarter alone, I mean, well, let's just say first half, Vanderbilt had 165 yards total. Yeah. Virginia Tech had 86. They had 13 Virginia Tech had 13 rushes, 1.5, an average of 1.5 rushing attempt per 13 rushing attempts, 19 yards. 1.5. 9 passes. That was all that was pretty much all like on one or two runs.
That was you look at, almost as bad as Arkansas against Western Carolina when they averaged 2.9.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was literally a tale of two halves for Brent Fry and the Hokies. And when you look at it, I mean, you look at third quarter, Vanderbilt fans got nervous because they scored 3 points. Virginia Tech put 10 on the board. Vanderbilt only had 36 total yards in the third quarter alone. 12 total plays, an average yards per play of 3. And they had the ball 7 minutes and 50 seconds. But when you look at it overall, game totals, Virginia Tech did outgain them 384 to 346. Vanderbilt just ran the crap out of the football. 46 rushing attempts, 172 yards. It's an average of 3.7 per rushes. I mean, they're out there running like damn Navy. 10 for 14, 174, and 2 touchdowns passing. 6 penalties for 65 yards. John, when you look at the Commodores, man, I mean, and I poked the bear online earlier, and I don't care. I'll poke it again. I don't give a crap. looking at wins here is currently. I mean, just looking at wins, not looking at points. Is Vanderbilt a better team than Arkansas right now? I mean, is that a better? Obviously, it's a better win. I mean, it's a shock, but I mean, just going off the win here, folks. Nothing more. Not trolling. Just saying. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think they're better than Arkansas right now, just because the way they came out on fire against Virginia Tech, being up 17-0, total domination. Virginia Tech should have stayed in the hotel and had breakfast at the hotel and never even got out of bed really because they were no call, no show to start the game. Just being honest, because the early kickoff at 11 a.m., like the guys on College Game Day, could have been a factor, and it's definitely showed. I really, not gonna lie, I picked Virginia Tech to cover too. I had Virginia Tech winning this game because I thought this was the year, remember, that everybody was going to be talking about maybe Miami or Virginia Tech could surprise some people in the ACC. So overall, right now, I think Vanderbilt's better than Arkansas. Absolutely.
All right, go ahead, Blake.
I do not think that, but that's, of course, I'm coming at from a biased opinion. But I feel like if they
But I'm
play,
biased.
but if they played on a field tomorrow, I think Arkansas would win. But
Oh yeah,
but is Vanderbilt better than Florida?
no.
We'll get there. I don't know.
I mean,
After what I saw today, I'll be honest with you. After what I saw today, and as we know, Clark Lee moved over to the defensive side of things, so he is more focused. His area of focus is defensively, which is what he really made his hat at as a defensive coordinator. Then you bring in Jerry Kill and other guys to run the offense. I mean, really, when you look at Clark Lee, you win your first game over Virginia Tech, a team that some had said could be a sleeper to win the ACC, as John was talking about. But Jason, I mean, how big is this? How big of a win is this for Vanderbilt in the real grand scheme of things?
I think it's important that Clark got them to a 1-0 start. I mean, you could have had a lot of people not show up for that game, which you had a student section that's packed. They've got construction that's still going on in the stadium. That sometimes does affect the turnout. I mean, just how it is, but it didn't. Seemed like they had a pretty good turnout as far as crowd-wise goes. But I really believe, though, that if you did put Arkansas and Vanderbilt on a neutral field, give them a week's rest, and you had them line up, I still think that Arkansas is at least a 17-point favorite. The reason why is because of the skill positions. Arkansas' skill position would line up, and I think that they would dominate the defensive side of the ball with Clark Lee. Just how I see it as far as the athletes go. I think that, honestly, it would be an interesting game maybe for a quarter, but then after that, I think Arkansas's talent would just take over at that point.
I see your point.
Touchdown.
Do what? Oh, John's back there just watching football. All right, so let's go
around here.
I know. All right, let's go to our overreaction of the weekend. Jason, I'm going to start with you because I feel like you just got something a brewing.
Overreaction of the weekend so far, I think maybe the way Georgia came out in the second half and boat raced Clemson like they did. It just looked like Clemson was not matched up correctly as far as some personnel schemes go. And I think that that's what led some easy scores towards the into the third quarter, into the fourth quarter. Overreaction, I also believe that Arkansas having a quarterback controversy is all for crap. Listen, the guy is a former Razorback quarterback that put that out there. He was pretty vocal about it right after the game, said that he thought that there was a quarterback controversy, not I wouldn't say controversy, but maybe a quarterback battle brewing. He pointed out how inaccurate Taylor Green was, how accurate Malachi Singleton was. Listen, it's and I respect the guy, but I feel like it was clickbait, honestly, more than anything else. I'm not calling the guy out. If you want to go out there and try to find the tweets, that's fine. But you put his name on it. I mean, that's it. But at the same time, I don't think that there is a quarterback battle to bring at Arkansas. Overreaction as well, I think, is the way that Michigan was supposed to come out and look and how they came out and looked, because there was nothing good about that game against Fresno State. They won 30-10. It was competitive through the third quarter. I think that you're starting to see some of the backlash of what had happened over the offseason. And so those are a couple of my takes.
All right, John, what about you, man?
My overreaction was West Virginia. I really thought they would show up today, to be honest with you. You're only 7.5 point underdogs at home. Early kickoff. I thought West Virginia was just going to come ready to play and maybe smash mouth football, and because it's a tough place to play at, for one thing. And I thought West Virginia was just going to show up and give Penn State a fight. So with Penn State capitalizing the way they did after that weather delay and just dominated, and usually the weather delays goes to the home team. Not this game. James Franklin did and his coaching staff did a great job. Like we brought up, Wes, his new offensive coordinator and his new defensive coordinators are great hires that he hired in the offseason. So just the way that Coach Allen, as a defensive coordinator, dominated that second half against that West Virginia offense, I'm overreacting on West Virginia. I thought they would compete a little bit better.
No doubt. Blake, what about you, man?
Just piggyback off Jason, I think Arkansas fans do need to pump the brakes a little bit because it was UAPB, So this week will be a better test of how good we might be. So, and then also Florida, a lot of people, a lot of SEC media people, podcasts, whatever you want to call it, picked Florida to win, and they did not belong on that field with Miami. At home, and you had all summer to prepare for that one game, and I think Billy is his seat is very hot right now, along with Shane Beamer.
I'm calling it now. I'm telling you,
fish grease, fish grease.
Yep. So, yeah,
Oh,
and then
he's feeling heat right now. Like I think he looked down and sees smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, so
he's lucky that he's got Stanford next week. Let's just say that. And then you got A&M down in Florida, and then you got UCF coming to town in a couple weeks also. And I'm telling you, KJ Jefferson might have struggled in that first game against New Hampshire. 1 for 8 to start.
Awful.
And UCF fans are calling for his head already. But yeah,
dude, he looked bad. He looked bad.
Overweight.
Blake, do you have any more overreaction?
And not really. I mean, I think today the teams that were supposed to win, they won, and like I said, we didn't have very many upsets. So I'm hoping for next week 2, week 3, maybe start seeing some more action regarding that.
I do want to throw in there really quick. If you go over to Big Trail Nation on the weekly pick'ems column that I write now, I had Miami winning 38-10. I was on Wednesday.
Nice.
At a boy. My overreaction is it's Colorado. I mean, really? 59 yards rushing, 2.6 on average, 23 rushes on the game, a long of 11. I mean, really? 34 passes to 23 rushes. I mean, I keep hearing a lot of yapping, and that defense just keeps getting clapping because they are just running on that defense. There's nothing. They can't stop anything. North Dakota State, honestly, had a shot to win the game.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know who. I don't think Pat Shermer's calling plays. I'll go ahead and just say that. I think Deion Sanders is the play caller. I think Pat Shermer's just the guy, the fall guy for now. The what, second year in a row?
I was going to say that was what the first OC as well. He said he was just the fall guy as well. That's why he ended up
100%.
let go halfway through the
100%.
season because he was calling Dion out. He said, "I'm just a figurehead at this point, a placeholder. You're doing everything else."
Yep. Because anybody that throws that ball in that situation, I don't want to hear crap about, oh, you just got to get first down. You don't have to run the ball. Stop. Really? No, man. You're being cocky about it. And you got Nebraska this week, pal. Your trenches, you just got ate up in the trenches by North Dakota State. Your offensive line just got ate up against North Dakota State. And then now you want to
change, Jason?
No.
Yeah, go for it, John. Go for that.
No,
go
what are you
for it.
talking about? I don't got nothing.
I was just saying that Mike Elko is going to lose his first game.
Oh, yeah.
He said, "Oh yeah." All right. So speaking of that, since we're just there, it's not an overreaction at all, but it is this. So we know that Notre Dame can finish undefeated, and they will not get a bye because they're not in a conference, right? They're an independent program.
Yeah.
With a win tonight, is tonight really, was that really their biggest hurdle? Or down the road, do you think that there's other games they need to look out for?
Let me look at this schedule.
Yeah, give us 2 seconds.
Still magazine. Here I come. Hang on.
Well, they got to play Georgia Tech. Okay, I mean, don't know about them. Florida State, and USC, probably their top 3 toughest.
Yeah,
I was on TV right now.
You got Army. Army's late in the year. That's tricky. You go to Navy. You got NIU coming up this next week. But Jason, when you look at Marcus Freeman, I think the guy's done a really good job. I think he's a heck of a football coach, to be honest with you. And we know Notre Dame is not an easy place to recruit. Do what?
I said, you mean really great job, not no really good job. Come on now.
Marcus, what has he done wrong?
I said great job, not good. That's all.
Oh, I think okay, yeah, great. Come on now, let's be honest. It's not like Brian Kelly left the cupboard bare. It's not like he took everything or everything left. That's not what happened. He had Sam Hartman last year. Then he goes and gets the old Texas A&M quarterback. His name slips my mind. Riley Leonard.
Duke.
Duke. Sorry, Duke quarterback Riley Leonard. But Jason, all right. Let's flip the script now. Let's look at it from an SEC standpoint. If you're Texas A&M and you shit can Jimbo Fisher and then brag about it with a big ass check on field, and then you turn around and hire Mike Elko from Smart School Duke, and then you lose opening night, the primetime game of opening weekend, technically speaking. What's College Station feeling like tomorrow morning?
They're not going to feel as bad. 1, they're competitive. 2, they brought it down to the wire. 3, this is the first game of the season. You have got 11 more opportunities against quality opponents to erase anything that would have came out of this loss. Even though it was at home, it was the first game of the season. If it was the next to last game of the season and A&M had 1 or 2 losses on their resume, yeah, this is detrimental. Right now, it's not. For Notre Dame, I would say this is more pivotal because the rest of their schedule, except for USC, lines up pretty stinking well for them, where they have at least a 65 to almost 70% chance of winning every one of their games until you get down to USC. And yep, they just took a 10-point lead. Notre Dame did with 30 seconds left, so this one is over, guys. So yeah, that's my feel on it. Is that this helps Notre Dame more than it hurts A&M.
Well, Blake, when you look at A&M, and you look at their schedule, they host McNeese coming up. Then, like John said, they head down to Gainesville to take on Florida. When you look at the home slate, they host Arkansas, they host LSU. Well, sorry, Arkansas is a neutral, but yeah, quote unquote, quote unquote. They actually do host LSU. They actually do host Texas. Which, let me go ahead and say this now. I am extremely excited that Texas and Texas A&M is back. I've always loved that rivalry, and I mean, you can say what you want about Texas, Oklahoma. I would be really close to sitting down and talking to somebody about. I think Texas A&M, Texas is possibly the bigger rivalry of the two, and that may be stepping out on a limb a little bit, but I know those two folks freaking hate each other.
Now this may be a little overreaction, but I think Texas A&M needs to find a quarterback.
It's too
I mean,
early.
he finished
Come on.
12 with 29 for 100 yards right now. I mean, I'm sure he might throw a pass or two here, but as of now, he only has 100 yards passing.
John's upset. John's upset. I hear John back there complaining at the TV. What's wrong, John?
Well, I said it's too early to complain about a first-grade quarterback under a new system. Come on.
No, this is different, man. This is Connor Wegman from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that, and I'm gonna back Blake's point up with this. Is that thing is, you had him sailing balls in the flat, not one or two. I mean, there were multiple balls that he was sailing that those should have been easy completions. Those were dink and dunk passes that he was making extremely hard, way harder than they should have been.
Yep.
Is anybody's okay? One of my overreactions, Wes. How about Western Kentucky not competing at all against Alabama?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't expecting them to.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean that in a negative. Anybody from Western Kentucky, listen, I don't mean that anything negative against your program.
Yeah. Well, I think what Johnson's saying. I think TJ Finley put out a quote, quarterback, saying this isn't the old Western Kentucky, and I think that just fueled Alabama just a little bit more.
That's what you can't do. Is that right there? It's the same thing with a Saban team. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, it's just like UAPB. You don't run your mouth. You probably don't get 70 slapped in your face. Sorry, just saying. I mean, you got slapped across the face with it.
And the game was shortened too. I mean,
exactly. The final two quarters were 10 minutes apiece. I looked like I was watching feel like I was back in high school, getting my ass kicked by 60 points, and they just ran the damn score.
It's all game.
Yeah, I mean, God, West Memphis, Arkansas. I'll never forget West Memphis Christian. 76-0. Never forget. But Jason, when you look at this A&M team, and we're getting ready to move on to some games that stood out to us. But when you look at this A&M team, I mean, only 100 yards passing, only 143 yards rushing, 243 yards total, 356 for the Golden Domers. But you were just talking about Wegman, however you say his name. 12 of 30, 100 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 40% passing. That's a rating of 54.7.
I'm telling you, this is the year to get A&M right now. This is the year. If Arkansas is going to get A&M at Jerry World, this is going to be the year, because I feel like Bobby's offense matches well against their defense. And I'm not saying that pitching a shutout against UAPB is a world beater, but it was a great step in the right direction. And go ahead.
Yeah, I would say what that does is it builds confidence going into Oklahoma State. If you beat Oklahoma State, that builds more confidence going against a smaller UAB team. It just builds on, and then you got Auburn, and then you just got to build that confidence each game.
And even I really feel like too that if they end up dropping the Auburn game and they go into that game 3-0, I don't think it really diminishes anything as far as confidence wise goes going into A&M, because weird shit happens every year in that game.
This is true. This is true. All right, let's go to two games that stood out to us. And I'm going to start with Blake. Go ahead, Blake.
For me, it's one way you already talked about. That was the Vanderbilt Virginia Tech game. Just because it, people, it's poor old Vandy, and Virginia Tech was kind of a dark horse in the ACC. So you thought they were going to walk into Nashville and get a win, but that was not the case today. Vanderbilt went up 17-0, and then Virginia Tech crawled back into it, and Vanderbilt missed a field goal at the end, but they did end up in winning in overtime. So maybe Vandy can sneak up and get at least one SEC win this year. So that's a game that stood out to me. And then going back to Thursday, that Colorado game stood out. That they are not going to, if they cannot run the ball, they will not be competitive at all when they play tougher opponents. I know what Dion said. We won the game. Okay, well you got to see who you were playing. Now I get it; it's a top FCS school, but it's still an FCS school, and you are Coach Sanders, who can get anybody in the world to come play for you. So, and I didn't like all that celebrating they did in the locker room, like they won a championship or something.
Well, the thing is, he may can get them to come play for him for 1 year, but can he get them to stay?
Well, he's not staying, so.
Exactly, 100%. All right, John, what's yours, man?
Well, we've already brought one of them also up, but Miami dominating Florida the way they did. I really thought with the future of Billy Napier, and his buyout is $26 million. I really thought Billy Napier would have a better game plan on the offense side of football because the way that he had Louisiana back in the day going for 300 yards passing, I really thought maybe Florida would take advantage of that home field the way they did and that humidity down there in Gainesville as well. But Cam Ward, 26-35, 385. Only one sack for Florida's defensive line as well, and that kind of shocked me as well. So that's one of them. And then North Texas as a 6.5-point underdog going in down in Mobile and dominating the way they did against South Alabama and Major Applewhite, winning that game 52-38. And I think it's a good win for the American, although a lot of people are saying, well, you just beat a Sunbelt team in South Alabama, but still, you go down in Mobile and you're a 6.5-point underdogs to a Major Applewhite team. And we have talked about quarterbacks, West, in this conference. I think the quarterback play is going to be good again this year with North Texas quarterback. Mr. Morris, 32-41 for 415 yards. And South Alabama had 0 sacks. So credit North Texas offensive line as well in that game as well for doing a great job of protecting their quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Of course, it's, week 1 or whatever. Oklahoma stood out to me, man. 51-3 win over Temple. When you look at the Sooners, 217 yards on the ground, 161 through the air. They would hold the Owls to 197 total, 128 through the air, and 69 yards on the ground. But when you look at Jackson Arnold, man, this kid stands out to me as a real threat for this offense. 17-25, 141 through the air for 4 touchdowns, and they had 35 rushes on the day. You're turning around and handing the ball. I understand it's Temple, but if you're turning around and handing the ball up 35 times, you are establishing a running game for sure. But Oklahoma really stood out to me. UNLV, really, man. The freaking Fighting Barry Odoms. 27-7 over Houston. I understand it's a brand new Willie Fritz-led Houston team. Houston only had 38 yards rushing today. I'll say that again. Houston only had 38 yards rushing today. But UNLV with a big 27-7 win. And then an honorable mention is the Hawaii freaking Fighting Rainbows. 16-13 loss tonight to UCLA. But what a game. Shager would throw the ball 42 times for Hawaii for 227 yards. Insane. I mean, video game stuff for Hawaii out there. Ran 70 plays tonight. Hawaii ran 70 plays. Well, with an average of 4 yards per play. So, here we go. But that is my two, man. Or really three. I mean, obviously, I think everybody, Vanderbilt stood out to everybody today. I mean, let's just be honest. And then to your point, I mean, dude, Clemson got dogged today. Like, can we just talk about that for a second? I mean, 34-3. There were some people that online earlier were like, "Oh, Mike Bobo, this offense is going to be great for SEC teams." Really? 447 yards, 278 through the air, 169 on the ground. Carson Beck, 23 of 33 for 278, 2 touchdowns, 70% pass. 27 rushes, 169, average of 6.3 per rush with a long of 40. They almost had a longer run than the entire Clemson game. Clemson only had 46 yards rushing. The longest rush for Georgia on the day was 40 yards. Georgia's number one for the reason, obviously, fella. But, I mean, this stood out to me. They shellacked them. I mean, John, I know you're a slick Georgia fan. So we'll go ahead and start with you.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Uga, man? They slapped Dabo around today.
Well, the score at half was 6-0, right? So technically they really didn't until that second half. So slow start kind of concerned me just a little bit, but like Kirby Smart said at halftime, it's hard to say what's going on regarding both sides because we don't know what to expect from a Clemson team because Clemson is basically fighting for the ACC again. A lot of people are saying Clemson could be the ACC champion as well. So I'll say a rating of a B. I'm going to go ahead and give it a B- because it's slow start.
Jason, the second quarter, Clemson only had 15 total yards. At the end of the first half, they had 112 total. I'm sorry, in the second half, they had 112 yards total. In the first half, they only had 76. So when you look at this Georgia defense, it's a reload situation again. It looks like Kirby Smart.
Yeah, he got it. They wanted to create a rock fight in that first half. I think that one of the things that Kirby wanted the defense to do, which they really kind of perfected, was making sure that they were keeping Clemson off of the rhythm. Because Dabo's offense is very rhythmic, and the 14 losses that they've had under him in the last few years have been where they have problems with rhythm. And so I think that's where you saw, with so many times Georgia was blitzing and blitzing and blitzing. They were disguising it. I mean, poor kid didn't have – there was a couple of times where he didn't have a chance really in hell. He was just kind of running around for his life back there a little bit. But that's what I noticed the most in that first half.
Yeah, and I noticed. Everyone noticed was the freshman running back Frazier looked real good. They were without the Florida transfer ETN, so I mean they wasn't even at, I guess you can say, full speed. But Frazier coming in as a freshman looked really good. So it's just something else for SEC teams to look out for.
Hey, kudos to Kirby Smart for suspending him for one game. Not like some other coach, Mike Gundy over there in Stillwater.
His punishment. Now I didn't get to watch the game. Did he run the ball 50 times?
We'll find out. Hang on one second. I forgot about that. Good point.
I know that from what I saw, Georgia was pretty balanced in what they were doing offensively.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about Gordon from Oklahoma State because Gundy, remember, he said his punishment would be he's going to carry the ball 50 times.
27, Blake.
I think it was 11 carries, 2 touchdowns, I think 114 yards, something like that.
He had 27 carries for 104 on the day, 2 touchdowns, a long of 12 for an average of 3.9 yards per rush.
Yeah. Glad to see Gundy's a man of his word.
Did y'all see the breaking news on the private chat over there?
Oh, what do we got? Oh, A-State won. I'm actually in Jonesboro right now, so.
I want to throw something out really quick with that NCAA coming down on them the day of game day. What if those QR codes were something that was not a sticker? What if those were painted on and they had to do something to get rid of those QR codes off the back of the helmet? I mean, that was the middle finger.
You read my mind with that, Jason.
This.
Man, listen, those sport equipment managers, they're usually GAs, okay? And they're not getting paid anything.
God. He's right, though. I mean, to your point, Jason, that is the NCAA just at the last minute going, oops, forgot the Vaseline. Here we go, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord. Like, I mean, what do you do in that situation? I mean, say that, I mean, luckily Oklahoma State was at home, obviously, but in that situation, you just go pull out some other helmets that you got set up and you throw them on and wear them because you can wear you can wear that helmet with pretty much whatever uniform combination you have.
Well, thing is, those uniforms or those helmets are specifically for each player too. Mm-hmm. So that's another part of that. So now either one of two things, you got to basically cough up 85 stickers, or at least 44 for that matter for 2 deep, or shit something.
Yeah, and I mean I've got a pretty good source that's, you talk about helmets and everything's custom. I mean, I've got a pretty good source that's told me Taylor Green's only got a select few number of helmets because his is not cheap. It's a custom fit for his melon, as is pretty much every player nowadays.
Don't you think Boise State missed him today?
No.
You think? I mean, I don't know. I mean, freaking looked like Barry Sanders Jr. running the ball with that. Look, I'll be honest with you. That guy's a beast, man. I've watched that guy from the sidelines live in person last year in Memphis. I watched Taylor Green. I watched him. That kid is legit, man. That kid is legit. And when I tell you, Jason, but when I tell you that Taylor Green is long and he takes long strides, and when he leaves you, he literally leaves you. That kid is fun to watch at the quarterback position. Not to just, talk about Arkansas, but Taylor Green's really, really fun to watch at quarterback.
I've gotten to watch Matt Jones and Taylor Green, my own two eyes, up close in person on the sidelines, and both those cats run about damn near the same.
Hey, it's good to see Lee Corso back today, guys.
I was just getting ready to go. Dude, stop reading my mind. All right, so I was just getting ready to go there. So I really thoroughly I am thoroughly enjoying college game day so far this year. I'm a big Pat McAfee guy. I listened to an interview recently where he was talking with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and that interview opened my eyes to him in a whole nother way. I think I sent that out to a few people too. But Nick Saban, God love him. That guy's great, man. Kirk Herbstreit, when he made that statement today, Kirk Herbstreit looked over him and shook his head and said, "You just broke the internet."
Yeah.
I mean, but they're having fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, even Corso's been dropping F-bombs the last 3, 4, 5 years now.
Yep.
I mean, literally, he's been doing it for this is now year. I mean, if he does it this year, we got to be sitting on year 4 now, guys. But they're having fun, and then you bring in Pat McAfee, and that guy's just the epitome of fun.
I don't want to interrupt, but I have the video of him picking his pick today. If y'all want to see it.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Our boy hit a $50,000 field goal. I see Elko's big ass head. I hear these people at 6 a.m. in the local costume is a bunch of shirtless ranchers. Give me Texas A&M.
Oh yeah.
My favorite part about that is they turn and look at Johnny and go, "Okay, top that."
I was waiting for Johnny to rip his off too, but Johnny never did. I think there was a split second where Johnny contemplated it, but
Speaking of college game day, right? So I mean, I'm not exactly sure where they're going to be next week.
And
I think I can
where?
guess.
Ann Arbor, they already announced it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Text.
Well,
Yeah.
I was just about to say I missed it
Yeah.
if they announced it.
Yeah.
Goodness. But let's go ahead and take a look at. We'll go around the room here. Let's take a look at 3 games that catch our eye, and let's do a little over under. Well, no. Let's just we'll just look ahead. Yeah, we'll look ahead and then we'll close up with over under. Jason, I'll start with you, man. Give me 3 that you got your eyes on for week 2.
Well, first off, obviously the Arkansas Oklahoma State game. That one is going to be intriguing, not only from a regional but from a national standpoint. Because, well, let's face it, Arkansas going over there, if they can take care of business, that will solidify any and everything that happened Thursday night. As long as they can go over there, stop Ollie Gordon, hold him to under 120 yards rushing, the guy's going to get his yards. It's who you stop around him that is going to limit what they can do on offense. So, week 2, of course, the Texas-Michigan game, I think, like John had said, that I think that they're going to end up going there. Actually, I don't know, because that's a national on Fox, so that might.
They already announced like 4 hours ago they're going there.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure both of them will be there. Big noon kickoff and game day.
And then hold on just a second.
They've already got the over and under set for that game, by the way, Jason. That's at 47.5, and Texas is favored by 3.5.
3.5. Texas. Wow, they're only giving Texas 3.5 on the road. Mm-hmm. Texas scored their second largest shutout in 100 years today when they whipped. Forgot who was off the top of my head. 52-0.
Colorado State.
Colorado State. Yeah.
Yeah.
The third one I really am kind of interested in seeing is Kansas, and I know this is going to be kind of obscure, but Kansas on the road at Illinois.
Ooh.
The reason why is because you've got Brett Bielema up there that plays bully ball or tries to play bully ball, and you got an upstart Kansas team that would be a solid road win for them against a Big Ten opponent, for them to kind of put their stamp on it and say, hey, you know what? Just because y'all are looking at Oklahoma State and K-State and whoever else that you can kind of throw out there at the very first of the season, don't forget about us. We're just right up the road, and I think that they may have something to say when it's all said and done in the Big 12.
No doubt, man. Lance Leipold and the boys over in Lawrence. I've been on that train. Let's see. It was 2 years ago. I picked them to go to a bowl. They went to a bowl and won it. Last year, I picked them to go back to a bowl. They did that again. This year, I picked them to be a dark horse to possibly even win the entire Big 12, and I think they have a chance.
They didn't win that bowl 2 years ago, Wes. It was Arkansas, Kansas.
That's right. 2 years ago, it was Arkansas. Well, yeah, no, but they went to the bowl. Correct. All right, not Jason. John, give me your 3, man.
Well, do we need to do picks for those games real quick or no?
We can. Do you happen to have the over under on it, John?
They don't have them up to date yet, but
Yeah.
we can just do our own. We can just pick the games like who do you want to win.
That's fine.
All right, I'll go do the picks real quick. Give me Kansas. Give me Oklahoma State because the game is in Stillwater and the game is at 11 a.m. Sorry, guys. And then what was that other game again?
I love how you apologize.
Because everyone doesn't apologize.
Yeah. What was that other game again? Kansas, Oklahoma State?
Texas, Michigan.
Okay. And then give me Texas in the big house. What do y'all got?
Yeah, give me Texas, give me Kansas, and give me Arkansas, man. I think that offense is really good, but moreover, little writing word there. Moreover, I think that their defense is really, really, really good, and they really hadn't shown it because they didn't really, they They played UAPB. Go ahead, John.
I've already got my picks in. Who do they got? Jason, who do you got winning?
See, minus a spread, straight up. I probably am going to have to say so many factors of that Arkansas Oklahoma State game. I'll go to that second. Texas big. It will not be 3.5. You'll have the wise guys having to reset that line a little bit because of all the betting that's going to happen with that. Because they're giving Michigan way too much credit. After what I saw happen tonight with Fresno State at home, they had a hell of a time. Which, by the way, Wes, here's a cute little fun fact. One of the defensive backs for Fresno State, his grandfather is Ken Griffey Sr., and his uncle is Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh, wow.
Plays defensive back.
Jason knows I love a good nugget of information. Go ahead.
And then I want to take Kansas by 3. I think it's going to be close, but I think that they can pull it out on the road. If it comes down to a field goal, I hate to say it, I'm going to take Oklahoma State, depending on the spread.
Okay.
Yeah, my first game, guys, is going to be the Cal Bears going to Auburn and play Hugh Freeze. I think that's going to be an interesting game because one, the game is we're going to see how California can handle that cross-country road trip, for one thing, to prepare for that ACC later in the year. And I think Coach Wilcox in the game could very well give Auburn a game. So that'll be my first one. But my second one I'm going to do is it might not be an interesting game per se for records, but San Jose State and the Air Force could very well be kind of like a high-scoring affair. Just the way that San Jose State kind of rallied back against Sacramento State. And that will be my second game. And then my third one will be Tennessee and North Carolina State in Charlotte. What team is going to show up for North Carolina State? Because is it going to be the same team for North Carolina State that struggled against Western Carolina? Or is it going to be like Nico all day throwing the football for 300-plus yards for the Tennessee Vols? So those are my 3 games right there.
All right. Give me Tennessee to get the win over NC State. Give me Air Force to run all over San Jose State. And what was your other one, John?
Cal Bears traveling to Auburn cross-country road trip.
Oh, Auburn. Give me Auburn in that game. Blake, what about you?
I'm just gonna say copy and paste from Wes because that's what mine is.
Give me the good old Tennessee Vols, and then give me I think the game Cal and Auburn is gonna be closer than people think, but give me Auburn. And I also think Air Force runs over 300 yards against San Jose State. All
right, Jason, what about you, man?
Let's see here. Sorry, I'm pulling it back up here.
Who do you got winning?
Let's see here. I'm gonna take Tennessee just because of how dominant they were this afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah. Sharp. They almost looked mid-season form. You said the Auburn game, Jonathan?
Yeah, Auburn and Cal in Auburn.
Give me Auburn all day long. They're gonna boat race Cal. I really feel that they do. Cal's good, but they're not that good. Right. So I think that Hugh Freeze is going to have another opportunity to take Peyton Thorne and exercise all of those passing demons that Hugh Freeze seems to bring along with him every time he makes a stop. So that one, and then I'll give me Air Force just because I'm ex-Air Force, and also I think I also like their offense too. So easy enough.
Nice. All right, so I've got 3 and then a add-on. Sorry, fellas. What'd you say? Are you talking smack?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, so my first one is going to be a high-powered offensive affair, and that is between the Iowa State Cyclones and
I mean, yeah.
those motioning bastards at Iowa for the Hawkeyes. What? How dare they add motion to an offense? It blows me away. But they scored points today. So that's my first one. My second one is one that just really stood out to me when looking over the games for this week. It's got to be Kansas State and Tulane. I think that's a very interesting matchup. I think it's a good litmus test for Tulane, or really both programs. I think Troy Memphis is a really sneaky good matchup this week too. That's not really on my list, but it's cropped in my head. One that I'm really keeping an eye on is Tulsa and Arkansas State. I think that's going to be a fun football game to watch. I'll be watching it for a Tulsa aspect of it, and Arkansas State. I like old Butchie. That's what I call him. That's how close we are. Is that I can call him Butchie Jones. But brick by brick out there in Jonesboro's doing his thing, man. Got away with a squeaker tonight over UCA. So Jason, what's your thoughts on that, man? We'll go Tulsa, Arkansas State. We'll go Memphis, Troy, and you know what? I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in there. We'll go App State, Clemson for the third one.
First off, Clemson big. I think they respond in a big way against App State just because of what happened today. Second one was who was it again? Oh, give me Memphis. And then the A-State game, Wes, I will give you my next 2 paychecks to walk up to Butch Davis and call him Butchie, slap him on the back, and put your arm around him.
Hey man, let me reach out to my guy over at Arkansas State and see if I can snag me a cred. I'll take a little trip over to Jonesboro to smack old Butchie.
You need video evidence, and you should check that video I just sent you also, because that one's funnier than hell.
Okay, I will.
But no, if you do that, I need video evidence, and I promise I will pay you my next 2 paychecks, because by God, you you might wind up like what happened with Paul Feinbaum coming out of a casket today.
I mean, hey, viral's viral, right? Blake, what about you, man? What's your thoughts on those games?
Give me Clemson. I think they bounce back against App State. I think Georgia's just a really good football team. And then give me who was the other 2?
It was Memphis and Troy.
Okay. Give me Memphis. I mean, I know y'all are Memphis guys, but I feel like Memphis could be a playoff team. So give me Memphis.
And then Tulsa, Arkansas State.
I got to go with the Red Wolves. Okay, it's because I got a former athlete that plays for him. So give me A-State.
Oh, you talking about? Are you talking about Tristan?
Oh yeah, Tristan Smith.
Yeah, the former CrossFit Eagle, Tristan Smith. Yep. Yes, sir. Class of 21. All right, John. What's up, man? What's your thoughts? Let me guess. You're gonna take Troy. You're gonna take Tulsa, and you're gonna take App State, right?
No. Let's do Clemson by 40. No, okay, Clemson by like 20. Memphis better have a better running game against Troy is all I gotta say, first of all, too. Because if Nevada can beat Troy running over 200 yards rushing, Memphis better have 200 yards rushing against Troy as well. So give me the Tigers. 11 a.m. on the ESPN, by the way, if anybody wants to tune in for that one.
All right, man. You ain't got to put the damn plug in there. Come on.
Hey, I'm just letting the fans know. That's all. You know what? Give me Arkansas.
They know.
Give me Arkansas State by 10 because I think Tulsa's going to give them a good game, and then is Tulsa fans going to show up for Tulsa?
I mean, it's not that far of a drive. I mean, it's not close. I mean, they got to go all the way across the state, obviously. But no, I mean, I think it'd be a pretty good game. And there's a bunch of good games, and we'll get into it more when we do Sports Buffet. We'll get into it a lot more when we do Over Under tomorrow. I will be picking. I'm going to compile a list of. Well, I'll just do a. I'll just do a 12 pack of games every week, starting this week for college. Um, and we'll also sprinkle in a little NFL and things of that nature once those seasons get started. But speaking of over under, let's close with just a couple of over under questions. Won't take long. I know I've held you boys up for quite some time tonight.
Wes, are we missing 3 games by somebody?
Excuse me.
Listen. There's this slate of game is not the best, but to be picking 3 more games. Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Who? Are you talking about Blake? No, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. We picked 12 games. That's good. All right. So over under. Let's go real quick. Over under. How many times do you hear the phrase Billy Napier needs to be fired in the city of Gainesville, Florida this week? We'll say 7,000. Jason, you going over under?
Over by double.
All right, Blake.
I'll say triple because they were saying it before the season started.
This is true.
I mean, it's over.
Over, because there's going to be 100,000 people after midnight tonight.
All right, over under. How long is this show typically going to last? Week in, week out. We'll go an hour and 20. Jason, are you going over or under?
I'm gonna go over if Jonathan keeps asking for stinking picks.
That's Wes's call, not mine.
All right, Blake. What about you?
I'm going to go over because once we actually get into actual conference play, we're going to have a lot more to talk about.
Facts. All right, John. What about you, man?
Over.
He just says over. It's all he says. That's great. I'm going to go over as well, no doubt. To Blake's point, and I mean, I guess a little bit to Jason's point too. That is funny. But no, man, it's been another fun night, Saturday night, talking college football. Appreciate everybody watching and listening tonight. As always, we will be back tomorrow talking, more college football, more little NFL, and some other sports as well. And over under, we'll be back Monday, Wednesday, Friday. For Sports Buffet, Blake will be up there. He'll be back on Thursday night. Him, Ashton, and your brother's name slips my mind.
Yeah, Jason.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's Jason.
The other Jason.
Yeah, the other Jason. Jason? Yeah. Hey, Jason, real quick, man, before we get off here. Go ahead and do a little shout out, a little promo for you and how everybody can follow you over at Hogueville.
Oh, yeah. So you can follow all of the Hogueville content on the Hogueville YouTube channel. Also, I help run the Twitter account. Also, Facebook page. I think we've kind of moved more away from the Facebook as we're progressing, or this year so far. But you can follow all my work on Picture Nation and also the Hogueville.net website. Got a game or a show every Wednesday night or Thursday night. Usually it's Thursdays, live at Torchy's and Rogers with Otis. And so you guys can watch that live, or if you're in Northwest Arkansas, hop over and watch it and come over and say hey to us. Also, the Arkansas pregame show is going to be featuring starting not this weekend, but next weekend, 2 hours before game time at the Torchy's location in Fayetteville with myself and former Razorback running back Marshall Foreman. So you guys check us out and follow all the content and give you guys a follow back.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Jason Patterson does a great job over at Hogueville, and we appreciate him coming on tonight. Blake, Jonathan, I appreciate you guys joining as well. Man, it's going to be a lot of, closing thoughts, guys. I think it's going to be a lot more fun during the season. And we've only had 2 weeks, really, technically, of college football. And we're going an hour and 20 right now, and we're really ain't even, like to Blake's point a minute ago, we really are not even in it. But my closing thoughts are, hey, college football is still on. I'm pretty sure there's still a game on right now. So it's almost 11 o'clock. You can stay up and watch games. I stayed up watching that Sacramento State and San Diego State game last night. Very scary moment when that young man got hit, went stiff. Very scary moment on the field there. So, in my closing thoughts, I mean, I think I said it last week. Just kind of echo the same thing. I mean, let's not forget what sport we're watching. You know, I mean, we are watching a sport that we all love, and we are watching student athletes play the game. So let's not forget what the root of all this is. So that's my closing thoughts. Jason, what about you?
I'm actually currently watching the Washington Weber State game. Mississippi State transfer quarterback Will Rogers is 6 of 10 for 68 yards, and they are 0-0 in the second quarter. So, if you do want to watch a little bit of nighttime football, then the Big Ten Network is working their magic now from being on from 11 a.m. or actually 10 a.m. with the pregame show till probably about 1 o'clock in the morning now. So you can watch, Big Ten football for up to 13, 14 hours in a day now.
It's very smart if you're the Big Ten. Just saying. Blake, what about you, man?
I'm just looking forward to next week's slate of games, especially Arkansas, Oklahoma State, which I saw Arkansas is +9 on the road. So that's an early line, +9. So, but other than that, I know Memphis won. I'm sure y'all are happy about that. And so, it felt good not to be, stressed out on a Saturday. Arkansas got their game out of the way on Thursday. So it was a stressful Saturday just watching football.
No doubt. John, what about you, man?
Yeah, y'all, Washington, like you said, Big Ten after dark. But this game between Wyoming and Arizona State, very well. Well, I just saw the scores. Never mind. I'm sorry, guys. It's 27-0 Arizona State over Wyoming. So credit to Coach Dillingham maybe getting his first win of the year in Arizona State, because I think this is the year that if he can win 5 or 6 games, he'll rebuild Arizona State pretty well down the road.
Yeah, could very well be, man. Could very well be. I mean, it's college football is going to be a fun season. It's going to be a wild season. And stay right here. 4-Star Sports Media. We'll keep you covered all year long. This is a sports buffet. We talk a little bit of this, we talk a little bit of that, but we always talk it professionally. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody watching and listening. For all of us here at 4-Star Sports Media, we appreciate it and have a good evening.